Hello, ladies. This is Jan and training on how to open the party. So, you book the party, you coach the party, you get to the party 30 minutes early if you're going to her home, or you have the party ready at your house. Either way, what to do now? So, most important thing is that when the hostess arrives at your house or when you arrive at her house, you want to kind of chat with her a little bit, mainly to make sure that you can do everything you need to do. But the first and foremost, if you're going to her house, is that when you walk in, that you don't look like the bag lady all pulled down, with things all over you and carrying a bunch of bags. You just want to carry one bag in. And if you need to go out to your car to get more bags, then I would go in and say hello, and then I would go back out to your car for a second um, pickup, if you will, of the products that you're the bags that you need. You don't want to look like a bag lady walking in. You want this business to look simple. You want her to go, oh, this looks easy. I could probably do that. And so I always go into her home. And then the most important thing you do is Mary Kay always told us to find one thing, even if the house isn't something that you would want yourself, that you admire. Maybe you don't like her housekeeping, whatever, doesn't matter. Try to find one thing that you can compliment her on, if it's a picture on the wall or whatever. Um, Mary Kay always felt that it was very important that we give the person a compliment. So then the next most important thing is that you ask permission for everything that you do. Um, may I set this here? Where would you like to set up? Would it be okay if I put some things next to the sink? Which sink do you want us to use? We will have to get some water and use a sink. Which sink do you prefer we use? Is it okay if I set this here? It's really important that you ask permission for everything. Don't move even the smallest object in her home without asking permission. It's vital. And I've got a story that was pretty interesting one time that I went to this lady's house and she didn't keep house very well, which was fine, but she knew I was coming for like 2 weeks. We had this booked. And when I walked in the back door, her kitchen table was into the kitchen. Her kitchen table was just piled, like heaping piled of stuff. And there were a bunch of dishes in the sink, and it was just like, okay, where are we going to do this? And so I said to her, well, what would you like to set up? I acted like I didn't even see the mess. And she goes, oh, in here in the dining room. And I was like, oh, okay. So the dining room table was all cleared off, and she had a beautiful buffet on the wall. And I said, would you mind if I set my, because back then we had this big bag that opened up and all of our samples were inside of it. It was different than what we have now. And I said, would you mind if I set this on the buffet? Because it would have been so easy to like work off of the buffet. And she said, and I quote, you mean I spent all day cleaning that off and you want to put that on there? And I was like, oh no, I'm sorry. No, no, no. Here, let me just go ahead and put it here on the floor, in the corner on the floor, and I can do it that way. So what I realized is how important it was, because just think about how irritated she would have been the entire time if I would have just set that there and not asked permission. Number two, I think she wanted her friends to see how clean it was, because she obviously didn't keep house very well. So she wanted her friends to see how clean it was. So it was a huge lesson for me, that it confirmed everything Mary Kay, the woman, talked about, which was to ask permission, because you never know when you could offend someone like that in their home. And you certainly don't want to start off a party by having the hostess feel offended. So permission for everything. If you have it in your own home, of course you don't. So there's a couple areas that you want to set up. First, the table. You want to set the table up with your trays. Remember, we talked about having each the placemat and then each zippered mesh bag with the tray in it. So all that. So first off, you need a table or something to sit that on if you're going to do facials. And so you need to have that. Second thing is you need to have some stuff by the sink. One of the things that you're going to want to probably take with you as well, and I'm not sure I put this on anything yet, but paper towel. You want something to be able to dry their hands off with. When they're getting their face wet and they need something to dry their hands, and especially after satin hands. So, we don't want to dirty her towels necessarily. It would be better if you take some paper towel with you. Okay, so by the sink, I set the paper towel, the disposable washcloths that I'm going to use there, and then the products I'm going to demo there, which is the Satin Lips mask, the cleansers that depending on which cleanser you're using, and the first two pieces of satin hands. So you got Satin Lips mask, cleansers, first two products of the satin hands. I keep saying satin hands. I'm going, am I saying satin lips, satin hands? Okay. So that's what you want to have at the sink. If you choose to do microdermabrasion, I would have step one, the refine, at the sink as well with the cleansers. Okay. And so you got that set. So the table, then your sink, and then one more important thing is you say to the hostess, at the end of when we get done sampling all the products, I would like to have like a private consultation with each one of the guests. It helps me make sure that I have all the information I need to have add her to my customer group. And then I need a place where I can just sit down and we can talk about what she's interested in, if she wants to book a party, whatever, at the very end for me to close her out. It's best if I have an area that I can just sit at, like on the couch. So if you can set up a closing area by the couch, that's another important piece to this. Okay. So when you get there early and you have your stations, if you want to call them that, your little stations set up, then when the guests arrive, you will look organized, it will look simple. You can transition from sitting at the table to going to the sink, doing the products, sitting back at the table, finishing at the table, go right over to where you're going to do the close. It just is a smooth transition for each one of the steps in the parts of the party that we do that will help make it a success for everybody. And you'll leave there feeling like you've got everything. All right. So, um, and the one thing you are going to put in your bag where you have all of your demo stuff that's going to be over by the table is I like to take two bags. You can take Mary Kay bags, or I'll just take, the plastic grocery bags, the plastic bags when we go to the grocery store. You can have two of those sitting over there. So, because when you finish, I'll show you when you do the table close and you finish at the table, you will want those two bags to put stuff in real quick. They pass it around and put it in. And so one of the things that Mary Kay always taught us was that during the opening is when you're actually closing. So throughout the entire party, right from the opening to the closing of closing everything out, you're actually in the process of closing. And what I mean by that, and I think what she meant by that was that to have the successful close, you got to do all the things right starting at the opening. So how you open your party and how you do all of that can make a big difference. There's a couple of little points I want to make that Mary Kay always taught us was number one, try to use their name as much as possible, especially if they're new to you and people you've never met before. No matter what, it's important to use their name. People want to hear their name be used. I know it was like when I first heard that, I was like, do I really need to hear my name? But what it does is it makes it sound like you are very interested in her and that you remember who she is and that she's important. So the more times you use their name throughout the whole presentation, right from the opening, the better close you'll have. And I know this is going to sound like a salesy thing, but she also taught us that for every time you use their name, it could be worth $5 at the end of the party. And I was like, that's interesting, but it's a psychology thing. They trust you if you use their name. You're interested in them. There's a whole relationship trust thing that can happen as well. So that's why it's important. It's not just to get the money, but it's to really build that relationship. And when you do a lot of parties and you meet a lot of people, sometimes you're like, I've been out before and somebody went, "Oh, hi." And I was like, "Oh, hi." And I'm like, "I don't know who this is." And then, she starts talking and then it starts coming back to me. It was a customer from a party. And I had serviced this one lady. I hadn't been in touch with her very many times, but she came to my house to pick something up. So I knew she was coming to pick something up, so I knew who it was. But when I opened the door, I totally did not recognize her. And it kind of like gave me a weird feeling like, oh my gosh, if I'd have seen her in the store, she would have expected me to say hello, and I wouldn't even have recognized that she was my customer. So it can be awkward, but it's really important to say their name, build that relationship, and make it feel like you really care about them. So that's the kind of the beginning. So now I introduce myself as the guests come in, have them go sit at their tray, complete their skincare profile, make sure that I've got all the information on that. I have them answer all the questions and fill in address and all that stuff. And then when once everybody's there, it's like, okay, let's begin. Now, what do you do if the party's supposed to start at 3 and it's 3:10 and not everybody's there yet? So mainly you need to find out from the hostess who is um okay, so these two people aren't here yet. Do you know if they're still coming? Should we send them a text and just say, are you on your way? Because what you do not want to do is disrespect the people who are on time. You want to try to get going as soon as possible. So it's important to find out if the people are coming. And sometimes people just at the last minute, she goes, "Oh, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, Susie couldn't come because, something came up. The kids are sick or somebody's throwing up or somebody got pink eye. I mean, all kinds of things can happen." So then it's important to start as close to that 3 o'clock time period as possible. And you might have to like text or try to call or something, any guests that aren't there on time. And one of the things that you can do when you are doing the pre-profile, it's like, see you tonight at 7, like reiterate that in your morning text that you sent to them that is going to remind them about it. Okay, so now we're seated at the table and all eyes are on me and they're expecting me to tell them what's next. Okay, so think of it in that way. Don't think of like, what do I do? Say, oh no. So this is the time for you to begin and the key is to make your hostess feel special and to get to know the people that are there. So in my flip chart, I have created the pages, and you're going to receive all these, but I have created the opening page on how I do it. This is what has worked best for me. It becomes very natural. I mean, I can look at it like I don't know what it says, but I want you to know that I do know what it says because it's what just rolls off my tongue. It's easy. It's an easy way to begin the party, to do all the introductions and do it. So welcome. My name is Jan, and I thank you for coming today. I have 3 goals today. My first is for you to have lots of fun. My second is for you to learn something new. And my third is that we get Susie here, our hostess, the most free product and hostess gifts as possible. In fact, Susie, let's start with you. I want to give you your thank you gift because I appreciate you getting us all together today. I really do appreciate you. So here's your gift. And then you give her a little thank you gift. Um, and you know how you're going to have the gifts made up for each person. Um, Hers is going to be a little bit better than that. You might have some of the same stuff in there as a thank you gift, but you're going to add something a little extra to make her feel special. Okay, now she has that. So, well, we're going to get started today. First, by getting to know you a little bit. So, I would like you to each introduce yourself by sharing that your name, what you do for work, if you work outside the home or not, and if you do, then what you do. I want you to tell us one sugar sweet thing about our hostess Susie here tonight, and then also if you've had any previous experience with Mary Kay. Okay, so we'll start with you. And then this is not totally in the script. I do have it in little parentheses while they are talking, look at them. Now, this is an important thing. Mary Kay taught us, and she was a master at this, that when you ask somebody to speak, that you then look at them and you do not look away until they are finished. And when they are finished speaking, you say, "Thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you." And then you go to the next person and then the next person. Now, I want you to know that Mary Kay was a master at this. She could have, if you were standing right here in front of her, I don't care if there were 100 people standing behind you, Mary Kay would never look away from your eyes. She felt that it was so important that when we're speaking to someone, that that person has to be the most important person in front of us. And they might not be looking at you because sometimes people are shy, some people have a hard time looking people in the eye, whatever. So it could be that she's looking down, but then she looks up and you're over here, you're not even looking at her. She doesn't think you've been listening to her the whole time. But if she does look up and your eyes are still fixed right on her, she's going to know you're paying attention. So that is something that is like, are the words in here? No. Is it important? The most important thing that when they're talking, you look directly at them. And I'm going to tell you another little story. I was at a lady's house and she had a big dog, and I'm not a tall person. I'm only 4'11". She had a big dog, and I could hear something behind me. But Mary Kay told me, don't take your eyes off that person that's speaking. So I was not going to turn around and look to see what was behind me. And so I was just looking at her, and she was, finishing what she was saying. And all of a sudden that dog came up between my legs and put its nose up and literally lifted me up. Like I was like, whoa. And of course everybody laughed, but I never looked away. And so sometimes you just never know what's going on behind you. I've had it where little kids were back there, all kinds of things, but it was like Mary Kay told me it was so important to look at the person while she was talking. Now, if she stopped talking to, like, you got something going on behind you, I would have stopped and turned, but she didn't. She just kept talking. And so I just kept looking at her and listening and nodding or whatever. And I never did run and find out that big dog was behind me, and it came up whoop and lifted me right up. So it's an important feature because and I want that to be in the training because those are the lessons that Mary Kay the woman taught all of us. As I've said before, if you've heard me before, I got trained by Mary Kay, and all of the nationals that came right directly from Mary Kay. That's who taught me in those early years, and those were some of the life lessons that are incredible. And I'm not kidding you when I tell you she was a master, because there were never just 100 people standing behind somebody talking to her. There could be thousands. And she still just took each person. She would literally hold your hand. She had the softest hands in the world. She would hold your hand or she would touch your face, and she would just stand there and talk to you, and she would never look away. She just never did. And so it's an incredible learned, an incredible learned thing to do. And it's amazing. So, okay. So everybody introduces themselves. They tell us their name, what they do. They say one sugar sweet thing about their hostess. And all of that tells me a lot because I'm meeting the people. Some people have a hard time praising other people. Other people are just, oh, they're just so easily praising people, and they find such great things to say. I also find out how her friends think about, or relatives, whichever's there, what they think of her and what kind of person she is. So it really tells a lot. And the other very important thing is that at the end, when I said also your previous experience with Mary Kay, I want to know if they have used Mary Kay before, if they've had a problem with Mary Kay before. And National Sales Director Linda Tupin, who's now retired, she taught me another extremely valuable lesson, and it was how to handle that. Because there's a chance you're going to get there and somebody's going to be sitting there with their arms folded, not happy to be there, but they promised their friend they would go, and they're like, "Mm." And of course, part of you is going to be thinking, like, why'd you even come then? And then, but she's going to have her arms crossed and she's going to, and so my job is to get those arms to come down and for her to enjoy. Now, usually the person that's doing that has had a bad experience with Mary Kay or at a party or something. And if that's the case, I want to take care of that right now. And so I have in the flip chart, I have two boxes over here. These are not to be said unless you need them. If you need to say them, then here's what happens. So we've got Sally over here, and Sally's got her arms crossed, and she was, she was, I came today because my friend, and I'm a good friend, and so I told her I'd be here, so I'm here. But I've tried Mary Kay before, and it did this, or I had this kind of a bad experience, and you can tell when it's a bad experience. So when she's finished, you look at the box that it says if someone had a negative experience, a negative previous experience with Mary Kay. You look her in the eye, you look her directly in the eye, and you say, wow, you're a better woman than I am. Because if I would have had that type of experience, I probably would have never tried Mary Kay again. Then you turn to the hostess and you look at her directly in the eye and you say, you have a really good friend right here. And what that does is it takes all of that feeling down to, yeah, I am a good friend. I am. And that's what the person that had the bad experience, the arms will come down. Yeah, I am a good friend. And the hostess has an opportunity to say yes and thank you. I really appreciate you being here. It just changes the whole atmosphere. Okay. So it's important right then in the beginning. And then um if someone, as they're going around, they say, oh, I love Mary Kay, I use Mary Kay all the time, da da da. And you say, do you have a current consultant? And she says, yes, I do. Then you go to the other box and it says, if someone has a consultant, what to say. Then you immediately say, we are a sisterhood of consultants. So today you can purchase anything you want to help Susie, the hostess here, and because it helps her with hostess credit. So today you can buy anything you want and it'll do that. But I know how much your consultant values you as a customer, so I will ask you to continue with her after today. I won't put, I will have you continue with her afterwards. So those are the two things that are really important to say right then in the beginning. So the introduction part is really more important than you would even think because it can tell us so much. Then I say, when everybody's done, thank you. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. And now I'm just going to tell you a little bit about me. I'm hoping after tonight that you will allow me to be your girl, of course, except for you, Sally, because you're going to go back to your gal. But for all your beauty needs, from your hairline to your toes, we've got skincare, glamour, gift giving, all kinds of things. So I really hope that after tonight you'll allow me to do that. I can be your easy one-stop shop, and you will receive my VIP concierge service to get what is best for you. I've been building my business for over 40 years with Mary Kay, and I love it today more than I ever have. And I've worked this business with every age child, from baby to, college kids to adults. I've worked at both married and single, and I've been blessed to have the flexibility to own my own business while earning company cars, diamond rings, raise my two children, as well as taking care of elderly parents all throughout my career. I'm in business for myself while being backed by a $1 billion company. It's truly, to me, the best career ever. I'm looking to build my business with women as customers and new consultants of all ages, and especially then to show the next generation that Mary Kay is relevant for them. Mary Kay always told us that there could be a new beauty consultant just waiting to be discovered at every appointment. I always wonder who could it be today. So just watch me and we'll have fun. Okay, so for the rest of our agenda, here's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to give you just a few fun facts and important application details. Then we're going to apply and sample the products. Let you know all about my personal service and my specials for today. And then we will meet briefly with each of you individually for your opinion, answer any questions you have, and get all the information that I need to service you properly and give you a gift for attending today. So remember, I gave you a picture of your gift. Yeah, I'm going to give you your gift today at that time. So, and also Susie will serve the refreshments while I meet with each one of you. You all, the others can join in and get their refreshments at that time. So a few fun facts. Mary Kay Ash, a real woman, started the company in 1963 as a retired grandmother with 9 friends. In 2025, Mary Kay is the #1 direct selling skincare and color cosmetics in the world for the 3rd consecutive year. That's impressive. We manufacture most of our own products right here in the US, in Dallas, Texas, as a global company in over 35 countries around the world. And we have over 1,600 patents on our clinically proven products. 54 of our products and counting, they keep adding up all the time, have the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, meaning that Good Housekeeping guarantees 100% all of the product claims that we make. We have over 25 scientists and doctors on staff that make sure that everything is clinically proven to work before it ever reaches you. And we have we just this year, we are #9 on the Forbes 2025 best brands for social impact. Pretty impressive. Okay. And then we have the Mary Kay Foundation. And the Mary Kay Foundation was started before Mary Kay passed away. She had 2 things that were so important to her was to help hopefully someday, if not stop, at least reduce or the impact of women who are abused, and then also research for cancers that affect women. And so those are the 2 things that are really important. And Mary Kay has donated, I think right now, I don't have that in front of me. I have a separate sheet in front of me about the Mary Kay Foundation, and I forgot to put it in front of me right now, but it's like over $85 million have been donated to these causes. It's incredible. So I believe you're going to be incredibly impressed with all of our products today. And I want you to know that you're under no obligation. However, Mary Kay, the company, offers a 100% satisfaction guarantee on all of our products purchased within a year. And so I want you to raise your right hand and I want you to repeat after me. I promise if I'm not happy or just don't like a color, I will call Jan immediately and allow her to honor that 100% satisfaction guarantee. Okay? You just promised. All right, good. Okay, so now I told you I'd share a few tidbits. So here's a few tidbits before we apply the products. The size of a pea, or up to the most, maybe a nickel or so, is all you need for the Mary Kay cleansers and most of our skincare products to work. You want to use a very small amount because you can always add more. You always want to use a warm, wet facial cloth to remove your cleanser, and any step that we rinse off. Just splashing the face doesn't cleanse thoroughly enough. We always recommend using an upward-outward motion. So you always want to go up and out, and except the eye area. You want to use your ring finger and just tap it in, lightly tap in. You always want to just use the ring finger there. And we always recommend to go to the base of the throat with the skincare products. Now, I don't take my foundation necessarily all the way down there. I mean, you can powder down there if you want, but all your cleansers, all your moisturizers, everything you're doing to this, do to this. Now, Mary Kay, the woman, She went down here because she said, you just never know. And she really said that at one of our trainings. So I always let people know that. Mira gave the woman, she went here. But you know what? This is our décolleté, and that is really important to make sure you care for it as much as you do your face. Today, we will be sampling most of the products on only half of our face. Yes, I want you to look lopsided. And for the first facial, we will not remove your eye makeup because at your second appointment, we can teach and sample all the color products and all of that. But I can show you all those options later. So I want you to take a look at your skin in the mirror for a minute. And are you seeing the results you want? Just know that how old you look or excuse me, how old you are is your business. How old you look is mine. Okay, so let's get started now with some of the products. And that's when we go to the sink. So that's my beginning. That's what I call my opening. And I will do another video that goes into the, doing the cleansers and doing all of that. But I want you to know how important that opening is. I try to go through things very quickly, have it focused on them and my services and what I'm going to do for them. Some little tidbits about the company and what are important, and a little bit about our products and the guarantee. But I want to do it quickly. But those extra little points that I gave to you today are so vitally important, and it will help build your confidence when you know how to answer that person with the arms crossed, the person that has a consultant already. That can all be handled right in the beginning. And it just makes everything feel comfortable and smooth from that point on. And so now it's just time to have fun and put the products on. So have a great one. And just know that in my flip chart, I have all those words that I will be getting to you. So you guys have a great day. Thanks.